Hi, I'm Gretta and I'm actively involved in 6 different e-commerce brands at the moment. So today I'm going to chat through some of the key things that I'm thinking about for my brands going into the new year. So number one is supply chain. So given the state of the world, it's getting increasingly difficult across the entire supply chain, from manufacturing through to freight forwarding, through to shipping your product out to your end customer. So while this can be obviously quite a negative, and especially for larger brands or more established brands like our brands, it is a really good opportunity for people to be able to enter the market at the same time. So while some brands are constantly in and out of stock, or like even more established brands are in and out of stock that have a large market share, that does give smaller micro brands or new players the opportunity to sort of chip away at their pre-existing market share. So while it can be quite a negative thing from some perspectives, there is that sort of positive for beginners and kind of newcomers to the space to take market share away from established players, and even for medium growth e-commerce brands to take away, from the kind of like household name stores as well. So while supply chain has been greatly affected, I do think that this is probably more of an opportunity for new brands than a threat. So number 2 is influencer marketing, and this is obviously something that I'm quite passionate about as a whole. Sounds like a vested interest, me saying influencer marketing, but influencer marketing has for years had the perspective changed or flipped on it. A lot of people think that influencers have been becoming increasingly less effective and less relevant. And, while influencer marketing isn't exactly it doesn't work in the exact same way as its heyday, which back in 2012 when I first started my brands, because influencers, obviously were just kind of up and coming. Then you could get partnerships, for less. And now it's much more and almost all like a pay to play sort of game. Influencers are becoming increasingly relevant because of the iOS 14 changes, because of the way that has now affected Facebook ads and other kind of paid acquisition channels. Influencers are such a key way to unlock an audience or a following that is targeted to your brand. So it might be in terms of brand partnerships, it might be, gifting influencers your product in return for a post, it might be paid partnerships as well, or it might be influencer whitelisting, which is basically where a brand is able to run ads through an influencer's account to access their following from a paid media spend perspective. So whitelisting is going to be massive this year, and influencers as a whole. So lastly, one of the key things that I'm thinking about this year is content. So content is going to be the biggest determining factor of the performance of all of your marketing campaigns, especially with the Facebook changes that we just spoke about sort of earlier. Content's becoming increasingly important. So I would say that, when you're running an advertising account, 80% of your results are probably determined by the content that you're running and testing lots of different variants of that content. And maybe 20% are determined by the actual maybe 10%, maybe 90-10 even these days. 10% is, the structuring of the account, the targeting that you're choosing, the way that you're running the ads themselves. So content is the most important thing, whether that's influencer-generated content, user-generated content from your customers, whether that's brand-generated content that's in-house, or at least brand-generated in that you're editing up your influencer and customer-generated content. One of the key things is still user-generated content style review videos that highlight the kind of the problem and solution that your product solves at the end of the day. So these are just really great kind of engaging ways to interact with your audience. The more engaging and the more native that you can make your ads, the better. And you do need native content for each platform as well. You can't just run the same ads on Facebook as you would run on Google, as you'd run on TikTok, for example. Each platform has kind of its nuances, and users can pick out in a feed, like a sore thumb, the types of content that are just like, they feel more like stock sort of content, and they'll just keep scrolling past. What you need is to create kind of thumb stopping content. Like, attention is so divided. There's so many brands out there. So you need to obviously be able to stand out amongst like the sea of other brands. So coming from a content perspective, yeah, you just want to be testing and running a lot of different variants, a lot of different content styles, just to see what's going to work for your brand, because what will work for one brand will not necessarily work for others. So guys, that's it. Please drop us any questions that you've got about e-commerce coming into the new year, and we'll try to answer them in an upcoming video. See you soon.
Hey guys, hope you're loving our videos and that you're getting heaps of value from them. If you are, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to join the Foundr fam. If you did enjoy this video and want to continue to master your skills, make sure you click here to access your free training now, where we'll go into way more depth with this Foundr.